In this video we will learn how to create sectionings in 3D Studio Max and Para 3D based on more advanced sectioning objects, means no sectioning planes, and based on boolean operations. We can see a design object done by my students Marianne Stadt, and we have one a sectioning object. The first thing you have to know is that this sectioning object has to be a solid object, so it's important that it's not only a plane. It needs a dimension to deal with this and related to a boolean operation. So what we actually do is we go into Para 3D. I want to create an array. I don't keep my original objects. I go into create. The spline based information right now we don't want to keep because we want to do it really make it really simple. Here we go, and normal process, I go into my position and I add a linear controller, double click on my linear controller, and in my viewport I just take the last item of my array. I just move it with my snap function, and I just move it on my first item, and next thing I move it up and I update my array. And what we can see right now that there is an overlap of my section items. So what I just quickly do, I deactivate my position, I go into my paraline node again, and I reduce the count of my items to 6, and now I don't have these intersections anymore, and that's absolutely fine. The next thing I do in my top view is I just move it onto my objects without my snap function, obviously. And what I can see right now that it would be really helpful to have an overlap because I want to cut the whole object actually. So I just quickly do it like this. I just transform it slightly in my viewport and make it a little bit bigger, so I have my overlap in all directions with my design objects. The next thing you have to do is you have to take your design objects and you also have to put it into Para 3D. I just go into assign controller right now, and I just call it design object, and I go into create. I don't want to have the information on my mesh, edit mesh object level, and I move it a little bit to the side, and what I have to do is I have to add a para compound node, which I did right now, and then I have to make the decision how to connect it. What you actually want to do, you want to take each item and what you actually want to do, you want to intersect each item of my array with my design object. So the first thing you have to do, you have to connect my paraline section objects in para A, and then you have to connect para B with my actual design object. And then you choose each item of A of my section objects to intersect with each item of B as a mesh. So, and here you can choose between union, subtraction, merge, and intersection. Actually, you want to do an intersection, and the only thing you now have to do is you go into generate compound objects, and I select my results, select para members. And what it did, I just produced nice section planes based on my objects. And you can also do changes. For example, you can now go into my shell modifier of my array with my section objects, and you go into my outer amount, and here I see I had an outer amount of 6 millimeters. I can reduce it actually to 2 millimeters, which I did right now, and you could already see that it changed. And if I go again into my compound and I go into generate compound objects, we can see that this worked quite well. Now I have the whole thing much thinner, and you can also do things like this. You go into rotate, and you just want to rotate your your elements. Okay, here I have to deselect obviously my outer amount, that's really important. So I just ticked X and Y, and I just pull it and I add something like a random controller as an instance, and change from radius 0 to radius 90 degrees. I go into update, and obviously something really chaotic more or less came out of this, but you can also use this one. If you go now again into your compound node and you go into generate compounds, we see what comes out of this. I just move it to the left, to the right, I'm sorry, and you can also see that this already worked really well. If you look at this properly in my wireframe mode, then you can see that they intersect, but actually I also would like to union them, so it's a really one object, and I want to recalculate it that the intersections are not there anymore. And what I can do is I can just go into my into my Power add-ons, and now I use my snapshot. Here we go, and I just connect my snapshot with my compound node, and I just choose editable mesh and perform boolean operation with all members. I just move it a little bit, and I just go into a generate snapshot. And we can see that this already is a big difference because all the intersections are now calculated as a union function of like pro boolean, and so you have a much better and much better 3D objects to process actually your design. Thanks for watching. So with this kind of method you can also use solid objects which are not only planes but also organic shapes like this, and we do it one more time with this object, and I move in this terms my pivot point to one of the corners here, to this corner edge, and we do the whole process again. I go into Power and I just say create an array with 10 counts, and here we go. The next thing, we go into this time transform. We use the linear controller, and we move our last item to our first item. I move it up a little bit, and I go into update, and now I can also turn it slightly and update it again. And we just see that they're all following. The amount is again a little bit too high. I reduce my count, and this one again I just move onto my objects, and also with this kind of shape the whole thing works properly. I just go and take my produce another para compound objects, and I attach my array with my power A, and with power B I take again my design object, which is already in Power 3D, and the last thing I have to do is have to say each item of A with all items of B as a mesh. And if I go into generate compound objects and I go into my select para members, I just move it a little bit to the side, you can see that it really reduced nice sectioning planes. So it works properly with whatever kind of shape as long as these are solid objects.